welcome to this, wow, very long time since, I'm still trying to get comfortable in this fucking chair today. It's been a long time since I've just done a show by myself. I started podcasting back in 2016, doing Tap Time Live with Anthony, and then iterations of different shows over the years lined up with doing different things and led to the Touring Fan Live, but I always was reliant or trying to do things with other people. I never thought I was good enough to do it myself, but I was like, man, how am I going to know if I'm can do it or still do it if I don't just go back and try myself? So I'm back. This is the first episode of the Touring Fan Live, just the Touring Fan Live. My name's Anthony Krizowitz. You can follow me on social medias at Anthony Live Now. This right here is a band that I found out about online. I was gone down a rabbit hole of the Gorillaz recently, and I said, if you like Gorillaz, check out Get Down Services. Song's called Dog Dribble. They're a fun band. They're a real fun band. So you check them out online. I think they're out of Bristol. It's two guys. Good stuff. All right, I'm gonna turn that down. Well, this is interesting. So today we're gonna be talking about a few things. I think when I think of the Touring Fan Live and what the root cause of why I started the Touring Fan Live and where it came from, it was the idea of I was traveling a lot back in the early 2000s, 2010s to see music. And the Touring Fan Live was based off the concept of going out there, seeing live music, what it meant to me, what it meant to people, what it meant to the artists that were touring, what it meant to the post artists, the art in general, everything that encapsulated being a fan that toured for live music and just being a fan of music and art in general. And I feel as though we're in a really unique place right now with live music. I feel like there was a lot of great tours this past summer. I've seen a lot of great shows this past summer and past year, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. And I mean, I'm traveling with my daughter in a few weeks to go to Portland to go see Wolf Alice and other artists we'll be talking about this evening. But I'm going to get into a topic, right off the bat. And I think it's making waves right now through most news platforms. And it's like the rising costs of concert tickets and what it kind of means for you and me. And then also we're going to be talking about this topic of like going to shows by yourself or going with a friend or going with somebody else in general. And what does that mean? And the psychology behind that, I guess. And we'll kind of dig into that a little bit. But first, I want to get into this statement that was just, I guess a quote that was just recently put out that's been all over online, which just kind of infuriated me. And it was from the CEO of Live Nation, Michael Rapino, and where he basically said that he suggested that concert tickets should be priced higher. And with him having a net worth of almost a fucking $1 billion, it's pretty interesting that he said that. But anyway, he said that concert tickets have been underpriced for too long. Too long. So let's break this down a little bit. Current ticket prices for major artists around the country are ranging anywhere from that $79 to $250 range, right? Now, there are some shows for smaller venues you can get in for $15 to $20, but we're mostly talking about your mainstream artists, right? So fans are usually spending anywhere between $100 to $500 for more. For instance, Bruno Mars tickets are at the premium of like $254, where you can go see like the Eagles or Blink-182 or Deftones for about $80 if you get tickets when they go on sale through Live Nation. Now, the resale market, of course, are going to be extremely high, and you're going to be dealing with that. I mean, the whole bot thing, which I thought by this point, 2025, would have been taken care of. But for the most part, what we're talking about now is when tickets go on sale, if you have the ability to get tickets through Live Nation, Ticketmaster, or any of these massive platforms you can get tickets for, what the cost is and how it affects your bottom dollar, right? So, but it's not even just like the ticket price. Let's consider all factors, right? The average let's talk about what it would take if one person went to a concert and they bought a t-shirt and parking, right? An average t-shirt at a show is anywhere between $40 to $55. And then you're going to park, and then it's going to be anywhere from $20 to $50. So if you're going to a show and you're just going to get a t-shirt, a single t-shirt, where if you've been to any concert recently, most artists, I mean, Ohana's going on right now. Eddie Vedder's got probably 6 or 7 different t-shirts, 2 different style of posters, 4 or 5 different hats, lighters, this, I think. So we're just talking about one person one t-shirt, one parking spot. To just get in the door before you even see the artist, you're spending anywhere between $150 to $350. And that's a lot of money. I mean, the majority of people in this world, I mean, I know most of us are struggling right now. I mean, everything's at an all-time high, and this is not a political statement by any means. I'm just saying in general, it is what it is. The times are the times. We can't make change of what the costs of things are. So before you even get in the door, now this is not talking about gas or anything else, the food beforehand, none of this. This is talking about getting to your seat. Get in the door, to get in the door, ticket, get a t-shirt, and then to park. You're looking at $150 to $350. Now, that's just one person. Now, let's talk about if you go with a family of four. You're looking at like $600 to, God, $1,400 to see an artist. Now, I understand the cost of things have gone up, and this is affecting the venues and the artists. But if you're talking about raising prices for someone who's making 50, 60,000 a year, how are they affording that? I mean, honestly, how are you affording that if to go to multiple shows? To go to one show, it's insane. And for someone to sit there in an interview and that's worth just about $1 billion and make a bold statement of stating, "Oh, ticket prices are underpaid." Well, let's kind of break this down a little bit, right? Let's talk about a $100 ticket and where it's actually going. Because here's the thing, I'm not mad at the artist. And after doing my homework on this and trying to understand where the money goes and how it affects people and how it affects the artist and the venue, this is when I kind of, it was tricky on things. So let's delve into how a $100 ticket, where the revenue goes into the artist's hand and where that affects them. Because here's the thing, realistically, the artist isn't making a lot of not making a lot of money. They're making their money on the merch sales, and they're going to make money on appearances. They're not making money on the actual concert when it comes to the actual ticket price. Let's break it down. So this comes from looking at a Coldplay. This was a breakdown of a Coldplay concert ticket that I found online for $100 ticket. Now, this isn't their premium ticket. This isn't one of their GA tickets or lower floor tickets. This was just around the bowl in Nashville. $100 ticket. The ticketing and services fees was $22. The venue and production cost was $30. Right there is $52. The artist's initial share is $48. Now, the artist touring expenses is $40. The $40 goes into security, that goes into the gas to get to the venue, that goes into any of their crew, the handling crew, anything of that nature. The artists themselves walks away with final profit of roughly $8 a ticket. Now, yeah, $8 times how many, it's a good chunk of change. But when you're talking about the overall $100 and where it's going, the majority of the cost of it is going to the venue, the ticketing, and the service fees. More than half is going that way. Now, when digging deeper into what was said by this Michael Rapino from Live Nation and kind of digging deeper into it, he is really wanting more money from the ticket sales to go back to Live Nation. He talks in multiple interviews about marketing costs and the cost of venues and providing a better structure for fans. Now, let me understand this. So you want to raise the cost of things to give us a better, I don't know, experience. But he never explains to us what that experience is or how it entails is going to benefit us to spend more money. And even if he raised it by 10%, so now we go to 110, right? Okay. It's only $10. Now let's talk about how that affects everything else. $10 now goes into $40 for 4 tickets. And then it always seems like every couple years, they're always raising prices. The average ticket sale has gone up 32% in the last 5 years. What's crazy to me is when Pearl Jam came out of COVID and went on tour, the ticket prices went up 39%. For an average, this is once again, these are the costs of tickets, getting them when they go on sale. I remember back in 2006, you could get a ticket $50, $40, $60. And when you were getting the $70, you were getting great seats. Now, I know this is 20 years ago, and I know the world changes, but also you have to look at the circumstances around us. it makes no sense. And it's just so funny to me that someone worth $1 billion can be like, yeah, it's, at $1 billion, because the fans should be paying more for live experiences. We're shrugging financially. And for someone like Rapino, the impact of these prices is ridiculous. We're grappling with financial difficulties. Raising ticket prices can lead to empty venues. Empty venues leads to less profit share to the artist. It is insane to me. When I went and saw Deftones in a couple weeks ago, I went to go see the opening act, Idols. It was supposedly a sold out show. Now, the other thing that we can go by this is a lot of the tickets are scooped up by scalpers. We know this. This is just something that's been going on for years. So realistically, the price of the tickets already been covered. Like, it's done. If it's sold out, it's sold out. But I will tell you, there's a lot of empty seats in there. When the floor was supposed to be sold out, there was a ton of room in the back end. So then that made me start thinking. So let's say that scalpers continue to buy up all the tickets, right? And the resale value, they're not selling them. Well, then I started doing some research. So I kept an eye out the other day at Starlight Theater, Nathaniel Ratcliffe, and the Night Sweats, I believe it was. There was a total of 611 tickets still for sale 1 hour before showtime at the Starlight Theater here in Kansas City. Now, 3 days prior to that, there was roughly about 800. And then they went from being about $60 a ticket to $18 a ticket. 30 minutes before the show show started, they had tickets for $8 a piece. Before the cutoff of being able to sell tickets last minute, they still were at that low price, but they were still not being sold. So that makes me think then, is it going to get to a point where the scalpers are not going to buy up the tickets? Because here's the thing. I saw a picture from that show and there was a lot of empty seats at that show as well. We can get to a point where the scalpers are buying up so much of the tickets that the money is going to the artists and the venues are empty. And then the scalpers realize, hey, we're not making money because we're buying up these tickets, and then they're going in the red. Now, in the grand scheme of things, if they're buying tickets at $40 a piece, for instance, or let's say $100 a piece to keep it the $100 number, and they're reselling them for $300 a piece, right? They're making a $200 profit. And let's say they buy 1,000 of them and they sell 600 of them. I guess in theory, if you do the math, which I'm not mathing right now, I guess you're still making a profit, even though you're eating the rest of them. But at what point do you realize, like, hey, we're still in the red, we're not selling everything? So let's say at some point scalpers back off and then ticket prices increase, right? And yeah, I guess you could say there'd be more tickets for the fans. But if you're still selling tickets at a high premium, and that's just for regular seats, not the lower level, which drives me nuts when you look at Ticketmaster, how they turn around and they do premium seating, where basically they find areas that are a hot seller, grab a couple of seats, and then mark those up themselves to sell out, which is absolutely crazy. At what point do we just say, enough is enough? There's going to be empty stadiums at some point. It's just bound to happen. It's going to collapse. And then if tickets are not selling and artists are not making money, they're not going to tour. There's got to be a fine line of how to make this all work. And I'm not sure the answer of that. I have no idea of it. But the thing that aggravates me the fucking most about all of this, and it just drives me insane, is that somebody can sit in their ivory tower high up, worth almost $1 billion, look down on the people that are basically he's making the profit from, and say, you're not paying enough. If that's not greed at its max, I don't know what is. Garbage recently put out a statement that said this might be the last tour in the United States because of the cost of tickets. I mean, it's just so insane to me to think that artists are now looking at this and saying, you know, why are we doing this? Let me see if I can pull up the stats on that, because it was just a quote the other day that also made me realize, like, maybe I should see him before this is like if this is the last, you know, US tour, like maybe this is something to say. Let's see here. Shirley Manson. Oh, here we go. Got it. Shirley Manson explains why Garbage will never tour in the US again. Blames the thievery among record industries. Last month, before kicking off their happy endings for Garbage, announced this will likely be the band's last US tour. We haven't played an extensive headline tour like this one in the States for almost a decade. They wrote in a band's shared statement on Instagram. If the truth be told, it's unlikely we will play many of the cities on this tour again. We're going out in style and we're hoping you would join us. That's life, my friends. Nothing stays the same forever. Everything must change. All beautiful things come to an end. We love you. Let's see. We as a band, let's see. Why then recently asked in DC why they will forego future headline tours. We have a band have decided that due to the basic economics of the music industry that we have to curtail. I can't fucking read our headline touring business. She said it has, thanks to the thievery of record industries, made touring very, very difficult. We're not complaining. We've had a fucking great run. I bring this up only because my concern, of course, is for young musicians who go out there and tour. They're holding down jobs. They take 2 weeks off of work. They go out in the country. Sometimes they're sleeping in their vans. Sometimes they're staying in really, really dodgy so-called motels. And it's dangerous and it's really unacceptable and it really has to stop. Whatever's going on, it really has to stop. It's unsafe and it's unacceptable. So we have to decide. The economics have become unmanageable. So this is kind of the last time we've decided we're going to get on a bus and just tour all over North America. It's a fantastic privilege and it's so beautiful and exciting, amazing. And all the more so because I doubt that we'll do a tour this size ever again. She also went on saying, we all feel that we've been so immensely privileged and we've enjoyed unbelievable support from our fans, from you. At times in the music industry, they've told us we're old, we're over, nobody's interested, no one gives a fuck, nobody wants to play us on the radio, nobody wants to interview us. And then you all came along. You were like, get behind us, Satan, and we won't forget it. So, once again, they're not making enough money on the road. And I know people are gonna be like, oh, that's ridiculous. They've made so much money and this and that, and they're a successful band. But realistically, artists are now just saying, enough, I can't do it anymore. Some bands that were playing huge venues 10 years ago are playing smaller ones because they can't fill up those large venues like they did 10 years ago. Black Keys a couple years ago had to cancel a bunch of shows because they couldn't fill up arenas anymore. The tickets were too expensive. Now they're playing small arenas at a cheaper price point, which, there's benefits to that as well. Hey, I get to see them in a smaller concert, intimate in an arena. But the size of tours are getting smaller. Some of the smaller cities not getting shows anymore because there's just not enough money to be made. So to Michael Rapino, who thinks that, hey, let's raise ticket prices. Yeah, that sounds great. You're a fucking idiot. Explain to me how raising the prices while majority of America is just getting by makes any sense. Explain to me how artists who are selling out arenas are not making enough money to make it economically beneficial for them to continue doing this. Explain to me why artists that were selling out massive arenas 10 years ago that still have a massive following now are not playing large arenas anymore and playing small ones because fans can't afford those tickets. But yet, they're underpaid. No, what the problem is that you're a greedy son of a bitch that all he cares about is lining his fucking pockets. You're the problem. Has been and always will be. The problem with it is you and you alone. You can't get enough. You are a hoarder of money, and that's all you care about. And until someone stands up and does something like Garbage is doing and stuff like that, and realistically, here it is. It's one band, right? We're just not going to tour over here anymore. We're not going to headline. Maybe they'll do festivals. They ain't gonna do. They're not going to go. You want to know why? Because people like you make it hard for them to do that, and it sucks. It really does suck. It really does. All right, let's shift to something else here. Now, I think one thing that over the years, as a fan, I've gone to a lot of shows with large groups of people, me and a friend, and just by myself. And I think there's benefits to all of that. And I've always wondered, what is the best way to go to a show? Is it alone? Is it with another person? Is it with a group? So let's kind of look at that, shall we? So I, for one, like the ability of sometimes going to a show by myself. I like the fact that it could be a last minute just pickup. There's been plenty of concerts that have come through Kansas City that of artists that I've kind of followed ticket prices, and if ticket prices drop down and maybe I just like a few songs, it's easy for me to jump in, go there. And the things that I see when I go to shows by myself is like, hey, you get to not only just enjoy the the music, but then you get to like just kind of be free willed. You want to be upfront, be upfront. You don't have to worry about like appeasing somebody else. You don't have to worry about things. You can kind of just be free willed, which is nice. You also get the ability of having either A, just enjoying it by yourself, shutting down and enjoying the music, or B, like opening up to a community you probably don't even know about. One thing that I've learned from a friend of mine that I've gone to a lot of shows with is like his ability to be in a line of people that neither one of us know. And by the end of the show, he's talking to people like he's known them for 10 years because he likes to get wrapped up in that community and that sense of music. And it's kind of infectious. But I will say this, there's plenty of times where I'm just like, I don't want to talk to nobody. I just want to enjoy this moment. Music means things to different people, and sometimes to experience it in different ways is unique to that person that's listening to it. So going to shows solo has been enjoyable. I've gone to quite a few here in Kansas City where, like I said, I've gone last minute, gone to the venue, walked in, got a t-shirt, maybe didn't get a t-shirt, got a beer, maybe didn't get a beer, walked down, listened to the music, and left. Last week I went to the Deftones show and I went to Idols. Idols is a band that I have wholeheartedly fallen in love with over the last year. They're very fun, politically driven, hardcore music that they are putting out that they believe in and that they take a stance on is infectious and enjoyable. I've been wanting to see him, and then I saw they were opening up for Deftones, a band that I'm not real familiar with, and I know I'll get shit about this. I've been getting shit about it on my social media when I said I left after 3 songs. But I went to go see Idols. I went by myself, grabbed a ticket a few hours before the door hit. I got the last seat right before the band walks out on side stage. And when Idols came out, it was just me. And if you've ever been to a show with me, or anybody's ever been to a show with me or heard anything, I'm a moving machine. Like if it's a song I know and love, I'm gonna bounce up and down. I'm gonna jump. I'm gonna move. Like music just does that to me. It's almost like I get possessed by the music and I do whatever. And I love it because it just makes me free. The one thing I've said multiple times is, and what I love about music and being in an environment where you can just be yourself, is that the room's full of different people, full of different people of different ethnicities, different religions, different backgrounds, different political stances, but everyone's there to see the band. And that's what's fun about it. And I just feel free in that moment. So during Idols, I'm jumping up and down. I'm in the moment. I'm loving it. The band, it was amazing. It was such a religious experience in the sense of being open and free and just not caring. And it was awesome. Now, the other side of going to shows alone is and that show, by the way, I didn't talk to nobody. I literally went to dinner. I went to the show. I got a t-shirt. I went, sat in my seat, listened to Idols, listened to 3 Deftones songs, and I left. And it was a perfect evening for me. Couldn't have loved it anymore. Now, I'm going to bring you back to a moment that I, to this day, am just so grateful for. April of 2016, I went and saw Pearl Jam in Hampton, Virginia. Went by myself. And this was the first time I've ever camped out to get rail for a show. And when I camped out to get rail for the show, I had a tent. We pulled up to the Hampton Coliseum, which is this amazing venue. And I got put in between a gentleman from Georgia and a gentleman from South Carolina. And in this moment, we became friendly. A lot of things happened. We joked, got to know each other. We all got a moment of kind of being upset because they had canceled the next day's show, which was in North Carolina. So a lot of us jumped on going to see South Carolina. And I love this moment of all of us camping out, waking up, enjoying the moment, being there, being part of like getting the merch, enjoying what Pearl Jam was, enjoying the community, really being out, open, talking to people. It was great. 2 days later, I go to South Carolina. I'm like, I'm going to camp out for this show as well. And then I ended up being between these 2 people again. And those 2 people was Daryl, who I've now traveled and seen Pearl Jam with Many of times, he knows my family. He's become like an uncle to them. And then to my other side was a gentleman named Ricky and Scott. And those two gentlemen I've been to multiple shows with. In that South Carolina show that evening, we were camping out. We went to Mellow Mushroom, ended up winning a contest together that ended up paying for our beers and pizza. Um, and I've made so many great memories with these people. And it was because I went to a show and I did something different. I was just opening up and I got to know the community and I got to make friends. And it was a cool experience. It was something totally different. But that was the cool side of like going by yourself because there was no planning. It was just like, hey, it is what it is. I can either be open or it can be closed down. And I've been able to enjoy both of the sides of that. So I think that's kind of cool in its own sense. Now, going with a group of friends has its ability of being positive as well. I've gone to shows where I've gone with, I don't know, 4 or 5 different people. We went and saw a band, went down into the GA together, danced together, arms over each other, enjoying the moment, understanding that we all have this community and feeling and emotion towards the music that's being played to us, and it's enjoyable for us. And we get to experience that together, and that's a whole total different experience as well. So there's always these different sides of things of how that could be done. Now, there's also negatives to all sides of this, right? When you go in with a larger group, there's always going to be the one person who wants to be in control. There's going to be the one person who disagrees sometimes, and sometimes it's not like this, but for the most part, it typically you're having different personalities, and sometimes that can be unenjoyable. And then, sometimes plans don't go as well because you have so many hands in the cookie jar and everyone's trying to, maybe get that cookie. So there's that. But then there's also the memories you're going to have for the rest of your life. So it's always that difference. Now, also going with a group, you can split a hotel, which also brings the cost down, which is always enjoyable. Going out, getting food, sometimes splitting the bill and getting something shareable, bring costs down, which is, in this market and day and age, definitely helps. I think with mental health too, having people around you, especially in a moment where if you can't handle being by yourself, going to a show together and enjoying something that is something you love and the people you're with love, I think that's good for your mental health too. I mean, if you think about it, like there is people out there that maybe don't live in an area that, I guess you maybe don't, there's not people that like a band that you like. So maybe finding people that you can travel with to go to a show and then enjoy that moment with them can be beneficial. And I think that's good for your mental health. I mean, I think that's smart and it's really good in a way that you just feel relaxed and you don't have to be stressed out because some people can't do a show by themselves. Now, I will say there's another way of going to a show that I highly recommend, and that is being not connected to the show. And let me explain. Being 40 years old, I've been to hundreds, if not 1,000 shows in my life. And I'm always enthralled by the artist and the band and the environment around it. But how many shows have we gone to where you've gone with somebody that you're not attached to the band and the artist? I've gone to a lot of shows with my daughter where I've picked the artist that we're going to see because it's a female driven artist. And I want her to be a part of that so she can see another female artist performing in a way that makes her want to do what that artist is doing. My daughter plays drums and sings, and I want her to be able to see other female artists do that so it gets them connected in a way. I feel I'm always about energy, and I feel as though if you put them in a position where they can feel comfortable in that, it opens them up to that. And I got to see, I'll never forget, it was the band called Sleigh Bells. I found them online. I showed them to my daughter. It was a couple years ago, and we went to the show. I spent more time people watching and seeing how this music made them feel in a way and how it made my daughter feel and her interaction with the music and her interaction with the artist on stage and everything and how it made people feel. That was infectious. And I don't do that often. It's not something that I'm just like, hey, I'm going to go to a show that I don't know anything about. And it's not something that like I do often. But when I do it with my daughter, it's amazing. And we did Olivia Rodrigo last year, and that was something special. Like, I'm not an Olivia Rodrigo fan by any means. I enjoy her music because my daughter enjoys her music. And I've really started enjoying liking the process of watching her like become her own person, pick her own music, and want to go see them live. Going to Olivia Rodrigo and seeing this crowd of anything from 7 years old to 40 years old being so excited about seeing this artist and like their interaction with this artist and like the love and the way they just like showed it and their dancing and the way they interacted. That's a whole different like way of seeing a show. Like not going solo, not going with a group, but just kind of going to go and just being like, I guess like connected to it in a different way. And that was unique in its own sense too. Like I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed that. And that was just something different. There's no right or wrong way to go to a concert. Like I think there's music infects us or, just drives us in so many different ways that there is no wrong or right way. But and no matter what, just go to the show. If you can afford it, which I think is a big topic of today, go to it. Music is so like good for the soul and the heart and it makes you feel something and it makes you feel alive and it brings you together with people that you probably would never get together with. And I'm not saying make friends with the person to the left or right of you. I'm just saying in general, being around people you probably wouldn't before. Once again, you're in a room of 1,000 to 30,000 people. Most of those people are not going to agree on most topics together. Except in that moment, they're agreeing that they all love that music. And that's what's important. Being able to just live in the moment. So I think that's pretty awesome in its own sense. Now, I think the next topic we'll bring up is like traveling for an artist. I think that's the next one. Next episode, we'll talk about traveling for us is the goods and bads. But for this episode, I think for this topic, that clears it up. I think that makes sense for everything. I think that does it. So yeah, so there's no right or wrong way to go see a band. I think, we're all going to have our different opinions on what makes the most sense for it and stuff, but I've done it all. I've seen it by myself. I've seen it with people. I've gone to a show that I had no connection with and I've enjoyed it all. So, but all right, now let's get into the last topic of the show, which is the summer is behind us. The fall is in front of us, even though we're still wearing shorts and short sleeve shirts. Like the weather has not changed, which drives me insane. I am all about wearing a hoodie and shorts. I want a band hoodie on and a pair of shorts and I'm living my life. And it's still too hot out to put a fucking hoodie on. I'm sweating my ass off. But this past summer, I listened to Spotify. That's how I listen to my music. I enjoy the platform. I really enjoy the way it's easy to navigate. I just like the way it looks. I like the AI features on it. I enjoy it. I know that talking about artists and getting money, I know that listening to music digitally isn't the most beneficial for artists, but for me, this is the easiest way for me to listen to music. So I went to Spotify and I found the 6 most played songs that I listened to this past summer from artists that came out with that music in 2025. And here are the 6 songs that I think you should listen to based off the listening that I did this past summer. So let's play the first song. So this is an artist that we're all familiar with on the show. We've talked about in the past. This is Liam Finn, and this song is called The Howl. Came off his single, The Howl. You might know Liam Finn as a son of Neil Finn's Crowded House. He also tours with Crowded House, but he's been making a name for himself ever since he really opened solo with Eddie Vedder back in the early 2008, 2009 on the solo tour. His ability to be a one-man show on stage is just something amazing. And The Howl is a must listen. It's all about feelings and longing and self-reflection. And I really feel like Liam's lyrics hit hard. His vocals are very angelic and they have this way of like making you just feel, I don't know, it's all angelic and it sticks with you, and it's a mix of like modern and classic vibes with the way it's being played and echoey, and it's this dreamy atmosphere. And if you hadn't heard it before, you need to add it to the playlist. And if you've never heard Liam Finn before, 2 things. 1, go deep, dig deep in his discography. Absolutely just great music for so many years. He's a great one-man band, but he's also a great just like artist in general. He's so talented on so many different levels of playing different instruments and his vocal range. He just makes music that makes you feel something, and that's what I love. All right, now we're going to go to another artist. This is an artist that we've actually had as a guest on the Touring Fan Live before. He's been a part. Oh, actually, no. Jumped ahead. Actually, no. We'll go with this. Been on the show before. He was originally Paul and the Tall Trees. Paul, I always butcher his last name. It is Scalada? It's Schalda. Originally from New York City, lives down in Texas now, and he went from Paul and the Tall Trees to just being a solo artist, and I just love his music. Let's play his music. Paul used to be a backup singer for Charles Bradley, rest in peace. He's got vocals of an artist coming out of the 70s. The song's called Let Me Be. It was a single that came out this past summer. And I mean, it just has this gentle melody, and his voice just wraps you up in warmth, right? If that makes sense. And I find the lyrics all about finding yourself and being true to who you are. I mean, and listen to this. I mean, this way, you know we'll never be apart. I've said this about his music in the past, if you've listened to the show before, that I feel as though he was made to be in almost a movie score. His music and his melodies and his almost vocal interpretation of things and the way he sings, it just hits you in a way that almost makes you visualize stuff in a way that almost, like I've always said, I feel as though his music's made to be in a Quentin Tarantino film. I don't know how we make that happen, but it deserves that. He is so talented. There's just not many artists out there that have a vocal range like him, and it's a lost art. So when you're feeling low, don't let go. Baby, let me be. I feel like this song is like almost a self-worth anthem. And it's an intimate, making it be yourself, and I love that about him. So if you've never heard this, check him out online. We also have, if you search Spotify, the Touring Fan Live Summer 2025, all these songs will be on there. So give him a listen, and then also go down a rabbit hole. Listen to Paul and the Tall Trees, which I've said in the past is absolutely amazing band, and we'll go from there. Now let's go into something totally different. The band I'm going to play next is very much like a hardcore band called the Viagra Boys. The song's called Made of Meat. And this is off the album Viagra Boys. So it's a Viagra Boys just with the A moved to boys. This band's from Stockholm. They're a post-punk. They've been playing since 2015, and their music is electric. This is such a fun track. The title alone grabs your attention, right? I mean, fucking called Man Made of Meat. And it's just making fun of masculinity and our tech-obsessed world. The lyrics are like a balance of humor and serious topics, and the rhythm, it's so infectious, and it's a fun workout song, and it will get stuck in your head for sure. So give it a listen. I got to see Viagra Boys open up for Queens of Stone Age a few years ago, and that's how I found out about them. And ever since I saw them live, I've been just addicted to their music and their almost like playful, rebellious, post-punk music that is just not around as much anymore, but I feel as though it's been rising more and more, and you're seeing more of these bands come out of the woodwork and become more popular to the younger generation, because in the grand scheme of things, the bands have to appeal to a younger generation for them to kind of have longevity. It just makes sense because that's just how bands grow in their own sense. So and a lot of times for the last probably 10, 15 years, it just hasn't happened. But I feel like Viagra Boys is one of those bands that are just grabbing the attention of a younger generation, and it's just really good. So if you haven't heard of them, check out Viagra Boys. This is, again, once Man Made of Meat, and this song is just so much fun. Great workout song, a lot of upbeat and just kind of just different, right? Now, the next song is from an artist I'm actually going to be traveling to go see here in a few weeks. The artist is called Wolf Alice. I've seen the band many of times. Well, I say many of times, twice. And this song is awesome. This is the single off of the new album. The lead singer Ellie's voice is mesmerizing. It's hard to find artists that would be able to hit the vocal range that she does on every song. I feel like the lyrics are taking on a personal journey about like love and self-discovery, and the production's on point. Like, it just sounds so good. But just listen to how her vocals change here. Ready? With them touring the United States right now, if they're coming into a town close to you, I would 100% recommend going to see them. I feel like every time I've heard a new album, I'm just waiting for them to just blow up. They are an amazing band live. They are so well connected. The new album has so many great new songs on it. I'm addicted to another song called White Horses. There's another song called The Couch that's really good. But this song, Bloom Baby Bloom, is just so much fun. I've worked out to the song a bunch of times, and it's just so infectious. Her vocal range, and I've said this already, but it's just amazing how she can go so high to like so low and just hit it in different ways. Wolf Alice is a force not to fuck with, and I really believe that this is just a must listen. Now, the next song is off a soundtrack. Nine Inch Nails I got to see this past summer in Portland on the Peel It Back tour, and it is, in my opinion, one of their best tours that I've seen them on in a long time. I've seen most of their major US tours going back to the 90s when I first saw them on my first concert. Nine Inch Nails is just, they are just the epitome of what live music should be. I mean, you're talking about an artist in his 60s that looks in much better shape than I am and just has just the balls of just fucking going out there and doing it. So recently, Tron 2 is coming out, or Tron 3, or however you want to put it, but it's the new Tron movie is coming out in October, and Nine Inch Nails was given the task of doing the soundtrack for it. Just like Daft Punk did the soundtrack to the last one, which was amazing, Nine Inch Nails did this. So they put out a single this summer called As Alive As You Need Me to Be, and this is a banger. It feels like you're in an arcade in the 80s playing Tron. It definitely has classic Nine Inch Nails vibes with it, but it feels futuristic like Tron should be. With the synths and everything, this is Nine Inch Nails.
The way it makes me feel infection. It's almost like a tongue on the back of my... Trent's
vocals have got to be something studied, because I don't know if there's been much change since 1989 off their first album to 2025 with the new song As Alive As You Need Me to Be. It's crazy that he's still able to just sing with this emotion and just raw intensity that he does now. And this live, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. I mean, this just is a powerful piece that showcases the artistic vision that Trent Reznor always has when it comes to his music. It gives you visuals in your head. It makes you feel something. It just makes you feel as alive as you need to be, I guess, right? So definitely another just amazing track by Nine Inch Nails and another great song to listen to. Now, as someone that grew up in the in the 90s and then also lived through the early 2000s when hardcore was at its peak, when it was the transition from emo to hardcore and there was like all these hardcore bands out there, it kind of died off for a while. And it was heartbreaking because some of the best live shows I've ever been to were hardcore bands. There's just something amazing about being in a mosh pit with a bunch of people and having this emotion to it. But I feel as though there was this shift in music in 2007, 2008, where a lot of younger generations kind of went to more of the EDM or even the hip hop or the rap side of things, which is fine. We all have growth in different music, and that's fine. But hardcore definitely took a backseat to a generational shift in music listening. And I just haven't seen a new band come through, that has been amazing live, had that hardcore push. And then this past summer, I was turned on to a band called Turnstile. And I have been like addicted to watching these live videos that people have been posting of seeing them live and the energy that this band puts out and the energy from the crowd and just seeing people jumping off stage and the mosh pits and the stage diving. And just, it is something I haven't seen in a very long time. And there is a song out there called Birds. And if you have not seen Turnstile's Birds live, just go on TikTok and look at this band and what they are doing with a live audience right now. And they're atop my list right now of bands I need to see live. But this is just showing that there are artists out there creating and doing things and getting people to be kind of wanting to be a part of that scene that I haven't seen in a long time. This band is amazing. And this band, I feel as though, is starting almost a music revolution. The best thing about hardcore bands is the breaks and how it changes, and listen to what they're able to do. I've been listening to Turnstile on like repeat for weeks, months, and I am just addicted. And what drives me nuts is I'm literally traveling out to Portland to go see Wolf Alice, and on the same day Wolf Alice is playing in Portland, Turnstile is playing in Portland. So I don't know when I'll get to see them, but I'm very much looking forward to what they're able to do and see them live. But this song in general is a fantastic example of blending punk energy with catchy melodies, and this is a nail in the head for that, and just the transitions of what hardcore music's about. It's a feel-good vibe that just makes you want to move. I mean, that's just kind of what I'm doing. I mean, So definitely give him a listen to. So once again, you can check out all these songs on the Touring Fan Live Summer Playlist 2025. It's the Touring Fan Live Summer 2025 playlist. You can check it out on Spotify. And it was The Howl by Liam Finn, Vagabonds Made of Meat, Paul Let Me Be, Wolf Alice, Bloom Baby Bloom, Nine Inch Nails As Live As You Need Me to Be, and Turnstiles Birds. So that is that. That is a wrap. And then also I did start the show off talking about many topics. Like I said, the next episode we will dig into traveling and traveling to see a show, traveling with a band, and other topics in general. Hopefully, maybe more positive ones instead of this negativity of trying to raise ticket prices, which aggravate all of us and make us think about going to see an artist live, which we shouldn't be. We should be supporting music because if it makes us feel good and it keeps us sane, which I feel like music does, and is an outlet for us to just be free and be our own selves and be around people with like-minded ideas. It's a good thing for us mentally and physically. So, with that being said, I am going to say thank you so much for tuning in to the Touring Fan Live. My name is Anthony. You can follow me on all social medias at Anthony Live Now. And this, once again, is Get Down Service, Dog Dribble.
Reality blurs and I'm skipping on the truth. Push away, people, I'm supposed